Good morning, everybody, and happy Thursday. So today I'm going to tell you the story about the talents. And this is actually a Bible story, so the people who know me are going to go, Tim's telling a Bible story? Well, yeah, actually I am, because it's a great story. This is an old Jim Rohn story. Jim Rohn is one of the first personal development speakers, one of the first motivational speakers, and if you've never listened to him, I think he's fantastic. I think he's one of the greats that's ever done this type of stuff. He operated in the 70s and the 80s, and he's got a lot of YouTube videos out there. He's got a much different approach than what you see today. It's calmer. It was much more of a seminar approach. But the information that he gives is really fantastic, and he put it together over his life really, really well. So Jim Rohn used to always tell the story of the talents. And the story goes like this. There was a master, this is back in ancient times, there was a master who decided to go on a trip. So he told his servants to take care of his talents. Talents, back in the old days, was a measure of a precious metal. It was either gold or silver. Typically, it was silver. So he took one servant and he gave him 10 talents. And he said, "You're in charge of these talents. Take good care of them. I'll be back after my trip." And of course, these trips, you're traveling around on camel and horse, so you're going to be gone for months and months and months. The second servant, he gave 3 talents, told him the same thing. And then the third servant, he gave 1 talent, and then told him the same thing. So the master goes off. He goes off on his trip, comes back 6 months later. There's a big festival and a big party because the master is back home. So he brings in his servants, and he says, "Okay, tell me how you did." So the first servant, the one with the 10 talents, comes in and he says, "Master, I have to tell you, I was nervous doing this without your guidance, but I went out and I invested my talents, and I started a business, and I did this and I did that, and I grew those talents, and I now have 15 talents." And the master applauded, and he said, "Well done, well done." And he gave him 1 talent for himself and entrusted him with the rest of the 14 talents. And he said, "Continue investing those." Then the second servant came in, and he said, "How'd you do?" And the second servant said, "Well, I only had 3 talents, so I was really nervous. I certainly didn't want to lose any of those. But I did some things, and I turned it into 4 talents. And the master applauded, and he said, "Well done. That's fantastic. I continue to entrust those 4 talents in you, and you are going to get half of a talent. Go on and continue to invest." Then the third one came up, and he says, "So how did you do?" And he said, "Well, you only gave me 1 talent, and I saw the others. The one guy had 10, and the other guy had 3, and they were able to start businesses and do stuff. But with 1 talent, that's not a lot of breathing room. So I put it in a cloth, and I buried it in the ground in my yard, and waited until you returned. And so here is your 1 talent." And the master said to the servant, "You are a wasteful and slothful servant. Not only am I taking that talent away from you, I'm discharging you, and you're no longer to work for me." So he sent the servant away, and then the 1 talent, his servant said, "Well, where should this talent go?" And he said, "Give it to the man who has 15. Let him invest it." Now, the moral of the story, first of all, we see where the word talent comes from. What are you supposed to do with your talents? Are you supposed to bury them in the ground, or are you supposed to put them to work? Obviously, you're supposed to put them to work. But the real moral of the story is, why did he take it away and give it to the person who had the most talents? That doesn't seem very fair. But that's really kind of how life works. The people who take the most risks and the people who go for life the most are the ones that typically get the most rewards. If you remember, one day we talked about the difference between doing a good job, doing a poor job, doing a good job, doing an excellent job, and then doing an outstanding job, and how outstanding was just a little bit above excellent, but that's where all the rewards were, was when you stood out from everybody else. And the people that stand out from everybody else, the rewards are disproportional. And the difference between excellent and outstanding is rarely a level of talent. You know, we talked a lot about sports figures because it's a great way to show that quickly. Michael Jordan didn't have more talent than everybody else. As we said the other day when we were talking about it, he wasn't taller, he wasn't faster. It's not that he could jump higher. The difference was his determination, his drive, and his mental attitude. He was not going to settle for anything less than creating a dynasty. Same with Tiger Woods. You know, what's the difference between Walt Disney and everybody else? It's not that he could draw better. It's not that he was more creative. It's that he mentally decided that he was going to create something amazing. And as a result, he did so. 302 banks. So number one, the moral of the story is, whatever talents you have, you are supposed to take those and use them to the best of their extent. And we all have them. And then the second moral of the story is, those who take the biggest risks and get the biggest results are going to be rewarded in a disproportionate way. And that's the way life goes. So as you head out into today, we only got a couple of days until a long weekend, just what we all need, a long weekend at home. But as you head in today, I would ask, what is it that I bring to the world? What is it that I have that nobody else does? What is it that I'm great at? And am I really putting all the effort that I have in my life into that? Am I really working my hardest? Not for the reward, but because when you do that, you express the most of yourself. Remember, accomplishing a goal isn't about achieving the goal. It's about who you have to become in order to achieve the goal. Have a great day, everybody. We're going to get through this. Let's take care of each other.